What's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AMZ Secrets Show, and your host, David Aladdin. We are live at the International Command Center, Outpost 42, Podcast 42. I built the show to jump past the basics and into the Amazon war. We are the front line, the strategists. While the corporate guys are sleeping, we are building our kingdoms. I look to understand the person, their strategies, their secrets, so that all of us can build and optimize our businesses. Today's sponsor is amzsecrets.com keyword king, a new tool inside of our VIP platform that allows the community to create the most relevant, powerful combinations while filling that 5,000 character allowable in your Amazon product backend. We have done this with our listings and are already seeing increases in our sales. How much of an increase? That announcement will come soon. And today, we've got a special guest on the show. Her name is Amy Feierman. Did I pronounce that correct?
Yes, you did.
She's a full-time wife, mom, entrepreneur living in Pennsylvania. Her success stems from building systems so others can complete tasks while she focuses on the bigger picture, spends time with her family, and lives the lifestyle she wants. Welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in an entrepreneur household, so I'm not new to being an entrepreneur, but I've kind of fought it my whole life. I didn't want to do what my parents did. My parents are artists, and I decided that I wanted to work for other people. Don't know why, but I did. So I worked for somebody else as a project manager for 10 years, and in the process of that, I got laid off twice. And the second time...
What project managing were you doing?
I was a project manager for print design and trade show design.
Very cool. I was actually a project manager at one point too.
Those skills have come through and helped me be a better entrepreneur, so it wasn't wasted time. I did not like working 80-hour weeks. That was, that's not my thing. I want to be able to enjoy my family time and do what I want to do and not what somebody else is telling me I have to do.
What year was this, by the way?
Oh gosh, that would have been... I was in that I got laid off when the year my son was born, so that would have been 2009, was when I decided to make the jump into being a full-time entrepreneur.
Cool, awesome.
And at that point, I didn't know what Amazon was. I knew what eBay was because I used to do eBay listings for my professor in college, but I didn't really figure out what I was going to do. I did wedding invitation design. I did blogging. I tried all these various different things online, and nothing really stuck with me. And I was doing blogging once, and I came across somebody else's blog that talked about buying things at consignment sales and yard sales and selling them on eBay.
Do you remember the blog name or no?
YardSaleMommy.com. She's no longer active. She was seriously active for about 6 months back in 2011.
If she knew we were talking about her, she'd probably come back.
Yeah, she was awesome. She did all this stuff. She was doing this, and she didn't even do eBay full time. She would buy the stuff, list it all, and then not do anything more. So it wasn't a full-time thing. It was a way to earn a side income for her. And I'm like, I have a basement full of toys. I love yard saling. Why not try and make a go of this? And I spent a good 3 years building a pretty significant eBay business, and then I heard about Amazon FBA. And so one of the biggest challenges with my eBay business is I have 2 young kids, and 95% of my inventory was toys. So my son decided to say, Mom, can we have a rental business? Can I rent your inventory? And so it became more of a problem to have toys in the house. And so I decided...
that being a huge problem.
It was.
You just want to touch every toy and play with it.
Yeah, when you have Lego sets and Thomas the Train stuff, it's worth a lot of money. If they go and lose 1 or 2 pieces, it's completely lost its value. So Amazon all of a sudden gave me this flexibility to not have inventory in my house. And so I tinkered with it for about 1.5 years. I would send in about a small shipment every week from stuff I found on the yard sale. That was it. And I was like, at the end of 2014, I was like, I really feel like I want to try this a little bit more. I was the person at the beginning who said, there's no way this is a valid business model. Nobody can continue to make big, substantial money on this, which is why I tinkered with it for so long. And then I put money into it in Q4 2014, and I haven't looked back. I closed my eBay store that year, and I just said, you know what, we're going into this full force. And it's been much more than my eBay business ever was.
I noticed you were raised in Connecticut. I was actually born there, by the way.
I was raised in Connecticut, northeast corner.
Yeah, I was in Cromwell.
Okay. So it's a great little state.
Cool. Okay, so you started eBay in 2012, correct?
2011, August of 2011.
Okay, and then Amazon hit you within the next year or so?
Yeah, I started tinkering in about mid-2012. Thanks to Facebook and
you
forums.
Got to Amazon pretty early.
Yeah. Well, to scope now, my business partner has been doing Amazon for almost 8 years now. So it all depends on where you are. I've been doing Amazon for about 4.
How many business partners do you have?
I have 1.
And how's that working for you?
Well, my business partner is not for Amazon. She and I run a website called mommyincome.com, where our goal is to help moms design a life they love while they juggle the balance of having family life and running a business at the same time.
Have you ever and I'm not trying to be rude, but I have friends that started entrepreneurs under 20, and then after they become over the age 20, it's like what point do you go? But for guys that would access your website, it kind of doesn't target that. Have you ever had that kind of concern or no?
We don't. Basically, we talk specifically to moms ranging anywhere from 25 to 55, and we target that only because that's what we know. Those are the people we can relate to. We have in our Facebook group, we have tons of our dads. We have a whole bunch of men in our group as well that have found valuable information and contribute quite heavily in the group. So we talk to that person, but that's not the only person that interacts and is part of our group.
Very cool. And you said your parents were entrepreneurs and artists?
Yes.
And that's kind of where you got it from?
Correct.
Do they have their own studio?
My dad is a kinetic sculptor. Based out of Connecticut. If you go to woodthatworks.com, you can see his kinetic wall-mounted art that he's been doing for almost 45 years now. My mom helps run the business, but she also does she creates designs that you can cut out on the circuit machines, the Cricut machines, those machines you can cut vinyl out on, whatnot. She does designs for that and sells those online. So I grew up in that world. They used to do, back in the 80s, they did toy design for Tomy and some of the big names like that. So it's been part of my life growing up. And so I got to see how they ran a business. And it's a great bit of information I can look back to and ask them questions. And how did you do this? And how did you formulate this? Now, it's different now because it's so much easier to run a business because there's something called the internet.
So true. It's actually called Google.
Yes,
I don't even know what the internet is. It's just Google.
If you go to Google, last night I was working on a design for a product we're coming out with because I do have a graphic design background.
Yeah.
And so I was working on doing the logo design. I'm like, I know that I've seen logos that have this in it. I want to do this feature. So I go and I type into Google, how do I do this? And guess what? There's 15 tutorials that walk me through how to do exactly that for free.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotta love Google.
I don't know. I taught myself how to code using Google. I actually did the old school style at first. I was looking at books. That was hard.
Hard to do it because it's hard to test. You can read a book all you want to learn how to code, but you have to implement it.
I think books are more for, you've written a book. I feel like it's more about the journey when you want to read a book. You want to read about the person's story rather than how to do stuff because Google just kills it on that angle.
Correct. Google and YouTube. If you need to find out how to do something, that's your home base every single time. And that's part of what I'm starting to work on is creating. I'm doing the Periscopes, but also creating basic YouTube videos. If I learn how to do something for my Amazon business, I create a YouTube video and I put it up there and say, hey, I just figured this out. Check this out. So
I noticed that you had a lot of content on how to do stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's what we're working on building.
Let's talk about building systems and what kind of systems do you have in place while you're scaling your business?
That's the project management side coming through. It's important to have processes in place. Otherwise, you're going to waste valuable time. That's just the reality. And time is money. So, for example, I have invested in the tools I need to make my process of inventory coming in my house to leaving the door very streamlined. I touch my inventory less times. It's about inventory touch points. And so from the car to the table to the box, that's as many times as I touch it. I touch it 3 times, which is, I've invested in things like Inventory Lab and the scanner and all of those tools that I need to make that a streamlined process. So I'm not sitting in there. When I started, I used to hand enter the UPC codes. Mm-hmm. I used to do 30-up labels. Dymo is the best, in my opinion, one of the best investments you can make in your business when you're starting out, or even when you're growing, because it's a necessary tool. If you're sitting there trying to look at a 30-up sheet and trying to figure out which barcode goes to which product, it doesn't work. Yeah. You spend hours. And so that's one of the streamlined processes that really helped my business grow. I was able to all of a sudden process through $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in profit myself without help because I had these tools in place. But the biggest one, I think, for me, which came on in the past 12 months, was hiring a VA to do all of my Amazon administrative tasks. And the reason being is I can make money doing that without me having to do it. I'm getting money back that Amazon owes me without me having to spend more than 30 minutes a week talking to my VA.
Can we talk about the tasks that you actually give to your VA?
Sure.
I feel like I don't distribute enough of my tasks over to my virtual assistant yet. Maybe it's like a trust issue. Maybe it's actually not efficiency, but the quality. Are you talking about let's talk about what tasks you give.
All right. So what tasks I give negative feedback removal. I give requesting reimbursements for returns that weren't sent back. I do destroyed inventory, which is now actually disposed of inventory. Amazon changed the name of it. All those types of tasks. There's 8 different ones that I actually have her do, and I'm not going to spout them off the top of my head. I can't remember. Returns, destroyed. Can we go more into detail? Like, for example, negative feedback removal. What do you have them do? Here's the process. I actually recorded a video, wrote a PDF that walks them step by step by step. Every window, every little box you need to check, so it says this is how you do it. I even write the email that they have to send to Seller Central, and all they have to do is copy and paste it and change the ASIN or change the order number or whatever it is for that particular administrative tasks. So the process is not just saying, hey, VA, go do this. It's, hey, here's the process, walk through it once, see if you have any questions, ask your questions, and then run with it. Now, I also don't dump it all on my VA at once. This took about a 2-month period to get her up to speed on all of the tasks. So I would let her do it for a couple of times and then check them. And now I don't even check what she does. I just get reimbursements in my inbox and I go and see, oh, my negative feedbacks got removed or whatever. Like, I don't have to think about it. The nice part about Amazon is Amazon has a way to set up a user inside your Amazon account that doesn't have access to all of your stuff. So they don't have access to your bank information. They don't have access to your financials and your personal information. They only have access to what you want to give them access to, which is your reports, to be able to run those reports, to find out what they need to request back, what kind of cases they need to open with Amazon. And by putting a system in place, by having the exact documentation to send to them, say, hey, I need you to do this task, it allows both of us to know the expectation I have on my VA, but them also to be really confident to know that they can make this work because they know every step they need to take.
That's actually pretty awesome. I could see these, like, if you had like a white label video set for other sellers to give to their VAs, that would be great.
I have a product.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
Called VA for FBA.
Nice. That's exactly what I could use.
It's basically, so what VA for FBA is it walks you through, it's a 3-module course. The first one talks about how to go about finding a VA that fits what your business needs and how you don't necessarily need to hire a full-time VA. That's the first part. Second part's hiring a VA. But that stuff you can, that's great information if you've never hired a VA. But if you've hired a VA before, the 3rd module is the best. That is the best part because I'm not teaching you how to create these administrative like all the PDFs. I'm not teaching you how to do it. I'm giving them to you. I have all the PDFs, all the videos that I use with my VA for you to download and to provide to your VA. So it's all there so that you can, it's plug and play. You can find your VA and you can say, hey, I need you to do this task. It even shows you how to set up your Amazon account for that user so that you have that so that they don't have full access.
I think one of my biggest weak spots was understanding how much permissions are granted to someone that has access to your account.
It goes through all of that in the course. It walks you through step by step. Because, you can go, well, what the heck does that give them access to? Because there's a lot there. Yeah,
my concern is they might have, access to, send 10 products out to someone.
They don't have access to that if you set it correctly. I mean, reality is you can really limit it to just having access to reports.
And that's what you kind of set it to?
Yep, there's a step-by-step process you go through that it gives you a list of 30 things that you can have them have access to or not access to or have limited access to. And so it walks you through all of that in the video.
Cool. I think that's very useful to know, just mainly because I'm sure 90% of people don't even understand the permissions area of Amazon because they're just trying to focus on selling more. But in order to sell more, you got to set the permissions for your virtual assistants to just kill it.
So your virtual assistant can go in and say, oh, by the way, you're low on this inventory. That's the next thing I'm starting to add her to is all of my replens and not being really good at tracking them and having her go through once a week and saying, this is what you need to know, go and buy next time you go sourcing, or this is what you need to order from your wholesaler. So that's already, she's tracking all of that for me. And I don't have to think about it. So it's another process. I walked through in videos how exactly I wanted to do that, how I wanted to track it, so that she can give me the best information. And I'm starting to not have to create my own sourcing list. She's giving it to me, which eventually will be another step to me saying, here's the sourcing list, here to my sourcer, give that to them. I'm not quite there yet, but that is my goal, is to be able to have it so that they create the list and somebody else does my sourcing for me.
You're in retail arb or wholesale?
I do a mix of both.
Okay. To clarify for the audience.
Yep, I do both, and the reason I do both is about 60% of my business is grocery. And that's awesome. As a small seller, as a small person, as not being a grocery store, finding distributors for the products that sell well on Amazon for me, I don't need to buy a truckload of them. I can't sell through that it doesn't sell through that quickly. So I have to buy grocery store deals. And the reality is, unless you can buy high quantity in grocery category, you're not going to get the same deals that you would if you buy it from a grocery store. That's why I still do RA. But I've also started moving into a lot of wholesale because that allows me to have it come to my door and not have to worry about it.
Are you talking about wholesale grocery?
I do a little bit of wholesale grocery. Most of that is in the candy spectrum, seasonal candy stuff. But I also do...
Man, you went into toys and candy and you have kids.
I have toys. I have candy. I have all sorts of stuff that my kids would love.
I feel bad for them. Are they allowed to touch it or no?
The candy they stay away from, but they have a lot of the toys that I bring in. I try to bring in. I will go sourcing. I will get it out, and then my door gets locked until it goes out the next day. They're not allowed in my office because they will want to open all of my whatever it is. So I have to be really. I mean, they're young. They're 7 and 3, so they are very much wanting to get into everything.
Okay, so just to pivot slightly backwards. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm not affiliated to the products she sells. Okay. We're just trying to figure out what things we can assign to our virtual assistants and possibly use the stuff she has recorded or pre-recorded. So you've outsourced or you virtual assisted the tasks, which were a negative feedback remover, and that's the seller feedback, or is it both the product reviews?
I haven't had her do product reviews yet. I haven't had a huge problem with product reviews. Mm-hmm. That would be something that you could easily create a process for, to do the same step-by-step documentation, because there's a process to go through that to request it from Amazon. And there's a process that you go through in your head to decide whether or not that is worth your time to go through to need to. I don't have any products that have really bad feedback as far as product reviews, so I haven't gone that route. I know that's something that private labelers worry about a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. And then you also have it for product reimbursement for destroyed inventory. Do you do any inbox? Does it allow for VAs to access inboxes?
You can have them have access, meaning dealing with customer questions. Yes, you can actually have it do that. We don't talk through that in the class, in the course specifically, but yes, that is something you can train them how to do. I've actually started working on that with my VA, because those questions are like, how about this? Or I'm like, I don't. And sometimes the VA still has to ask you, but sometimes it's something they could easily search on the internet and find out themselves. It's a little bit harder with some of my products because I do a lot of custom bundling. So I'm not putting a one-off item they could easily go and search for. Sometimes the size, I don't know if you've ever had it happen where your bullet points disappear or your description disappears from your listing.
That happens.
It happens. It happens when you are on listings with other people more often than when you're not, because the person who originally created it closed the listing and that stuff disappears. Why Amazon has it set up that way, I have no idea. But I've had them go in and deal with those. All of your suppressed inventory, all of your stranded inventory, my VA deals with all of that stuff, so I don't even have to touch it. Every now and then she'll ask me a question about it, but most of the time she just runs on her own.
How many SKUs are you currently distributed?
How many SKUs? I am at about 280 right now.
Is it SKU or SKUs? Do I always say that wrong?
You can do it both. I've heard both. It's the same thing with ASINs. I hear some people say ASIN. I hear some people say ASIN.
I'm an ASIN guy.
I'm an ASIN person too. Like, that's how I do it. But everybody's different. In this industry, we speak in acronyms all of the time, and everybody says it differently.
That's funny. All right. Okay, I want to pivot now into the grocery, because I haven't had anyone on the podcast come in as a seller of grocery items. So you got approved and ungated in that area.
I was lucky because I was grandfathered in.
I heard it's very tough to get into that.
It was very tough for a while. What we're starting to hear is that it's easier if you follow their strict specifications. If you're buying 20 of an item, you have to get it on you can't do store receipts, you have to do it on invoice. But if you follow that, we're starting to hear a lot more people, hey, I got approved in grocery, hey, I got approved in beauty. And so we're starting to see a lot more of that within our group and with other groups. So I think that it's about taking the time and really understanding what they're asking to be able to get through that process.
Agreed. I actually just applied for the health and beauty area.
There's health and personal care and beauty.
Care. And I got rejected the first time and then got approved the second time. And that was after I just went all out on the approval. Yeah.
It's about taking the time. If you're going to take the time to do it, put enough time and effort in it.
It's a good email, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, when you get that email, it's like, whoa.
It feels great. Last year, you remember, everybody got approved in clothing and jewelry and whatever right off the bat. You could go in and get automatic approval. I paid to get approved in all that stuff because it was hard because you had to fill out the spreadsheets and all of that. And 50, 60 items you had to do with images, all that. So I hired that out. But yeah, it's a process. But if you're going to start it, as with anything, don't do it halfway. Put all your effort in. If you really want to get approved in grocery or health and personal care or beauty, put the effort in, do what they tell you to do, and you're more likely to get approved. The
more I think about it, I haven't actually started selling in the health area, but I was just looking at the competition. There's a lot less competition and tons of profit to be made. Like, people always talk about how Amazon's getting way too filled up, but it's really not. There's so much different products you could launch in different areas and pivot.
There are
and
so
new products.
many products. There's so much open there.
Like bundling, which you mentioned, is a whole nother area.
Correct.
Of just selling on Amazon. Some people just like to buy a lot of items at once. I don't personally do that. I was thinking about doing it, but in terms of private label, if you bundle your private labeled items, you actually get your reviews what was the reason why the reviews start to get separated, and also the sales velocity gets separated as well.
Correct.
So then you have two different, I wanted to keep my sales velocity all on one ASIN so that my BSR would be really high. And that's why I didn't bundle. But
that makes a lot of sense.
There's different advantages, so.
But it depends on it also depends on what products you're bringing in. So if you brought in something that worked better, if it would sell better if it was in a bundle. There are some things that standalone aren't great by themselves, but if they had these two other pieces, it would be awesome. And so looking at it from how does my buyer want this product to come to them? Do they want it as a single item, or does it need to have these two other pieces to go along with it? And that can go for private label, that can go for RA, OA, anything. I find a lot of my bundles on Amazon itself. That lovely little window that says frequently bought together on any product page. I look at those very heavily and get ideas from that on how to put products together in a bundle.
Do you ever worry, excuse me, do you ever worry about not being able to scale up with bundles simply because it requires someone to package it?
Nope. I don't do it. My prep person does.
I got you. So you're scaling up using people, employees.
I am outsourcing,
okay. And
that allows me to not spend my time. Now, when I first started bundling, I was doing it myself, and it takes time. Don't get me wrong, but if your margins are built in, if you're buying it for $7 and you're selling it for $39.95, it's worth that extra couple of minutes to put it in a poly bag or to bubble wrap it or put it in a box, because you're already making enough ROI within that. So it's worth spending the time. If you're only making $3 on it, you better not be bundling it, because it doesn't make any sense. So time is money. So figure out where you can put your time to make the most amount of money.
Very cool. Actually, okay, so let's talk more about grocery. Can you explain how that works? Like, do you have a lot of fresh food in your house? What's the strategy there?
So what I do when groceries are part of our everyday life. The reason I sell groceries, they're consumable. People they use them up, they need to buy more. Therefore, I have a constant stream of people needing what I sell. And so I was a coupon blogger that's one of the things I did when I was still trying to figure out what business I wanted to run. And so I became a very avid couponer, what that gave me was the ability to understand sales cycles in the grocery store. So I know about every 3 months, the same things go on sale for ridiculous prices. They're called loss leaders. They're things that the grocery store doesn't make money on or actually loses money on just to bring you in the store because they know you're going to buy other stuff.
Okay, you just hit like a major weak spot in the retail industry, looks like.
It's not a weak spot. It's actually something all major retailers do. It's how to get you in the door. It's their marketing strategy to say, hey, we've got this ridiculous thing for 10 for $1 that's normally $3 a box. And they'll bring you in, you'll buy 5 of those, but you'll also go get your strawberries and your blueberries and your milk and your eggs and all the other stuff that you need in your house.
Yeah, but I don't know if they anticipated Amy Feierman going into their weak spots. But
I'm not the only person who.
Oh no, I'm not blaming you for it. I think it's smart.
And it's a great way. No, they probably didn't. But the reality is, I'm not going to put a grocery store out of business with my,
No. Due to Publix, they've been growing really fast.
Yeah, so I do this. The best part, my grocery store now has gas points, so I earn gas points while buying inventory, which is awesome. But what I do is every week I get my circular in the mail. I sit down with the circular and I go through and figure out what the best deals are. And if I can make 100% ROI on any of that stuff within certain parameters, I set parameters for myself as to amount of time that it takes to prep something, whether it requires polybagging, all of that has to get factored in. But I look at that and say, these are the 5 items I want to buy this week. And then I'll hit the 5 of that particular grocery store in my area to buy the quantity that I need to get me through 3 months, because I know that in 3 months that sale is going to run again, or a very, very similar sale will run again on that product.
Do you have a sourcing team at the moment that goes into?
I don't yet have a sourcing team.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what I'm trying to work on with my VA, with her dealing with all of here's the replens that need to get put in. Even now, when I go through the circulars, you don't always know specifically what the price point is, because for whatever reason, grocery stores don't always put the price point. Sometimes they do. Sometimes there's other juggling and decision-making that needs to happen based on the quantity that they have. I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me is, I'm getting comfortable with my prep person, and I will probably ask her to start helping me with that. Part of that with me trying to get comfortable enough with somebody to give them that, here's a store card to go buy this stuff. And that's, I've given a lot of stuff away to my VA and whatnot and outsourced. Money is a different thing for me. Like that's more of a risk for me to be able to hand off cash to somebody to say, hey, go spend this. I need to trust the person to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed your book was called Amazon FBA Launchpad.
Correct.
And did you put it in the Kindle store?
It is in the Kindle store. It's also available on Amazon as a hardcover. And I did that because I know a lot of people like to take notes in the margins.
Well, the title of your book is, do you rank number 1 for Amazon Launchpad? Because it's just like on point with the SEO. Did it come out before Launchpad launched?
It came out right before Launchpad launched, which is...
that is killer.
Because I saw that when Launchpad came out, I was like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, interesting. Yeah, it's basically, it's an intro book that teaches people how to go from setting up their account, having never sold on Amazon, to sending in their first shipment. And all of the roadblocks that I remember going through as a new seller, going, well, I can't send in my box yet because I don't know if it's right. And getting people over those hurdles to say, you know what, this is a valid thing. Let's get that first box in. Because I guarantee you, once you make that first sale, you're not looking back. And you're going to grow and you're going to get better each time. You never know unless you try. And it doesn't matter if you send in 5 things or 25 things. Get your first box in and see what happens.
That's cool. I was at... Just in terms of, sorry to jump back, but in terms of your title and SEO, like the time at which you launched the book is awesome, because for everybody that doesn't know, if you launch something before something massive comes out like that, you potentially will still rank better than the massive launch. And so you probably have a huge surge in sales for that. Right. That's cool. Okay. Sorry to point that out. I don't know if you wanted people to know.
No worries.
Okay, so where are you currently at with your business, and are you selling in other categories as well?
I am currently in a growth stage, and this is why all of the systems are coming into play more so than before, which is why I'm looking into outsourcing my sourcing so that I can focus on other things.
You're outsourcing the sourcing.
Outsourcing the sourcing.
That should be a book title.
It is a book title. Ryan Grant, Outsourcing Sourcing. It's a great book.
Took my title. No.
It's a great book. He does a lot of outsourcing of sourcing. My business partner, Mommy Income, Kristen Ostrander, also outsources sourcing. She uses it very heavily on Black Friday. And in my business, I will sell anything that makes me a profit. I have comfort zones. Grocery is definitely a comfort zone, but I make myself, every time I'm outsourcing, scan a category that I'm not comfortable in. I'm approved in everything except sexual wellness and fine jewelry.
Why is that? No, I'm just kidding.
Right? It's not necessary. And those are products I really don't need to have in my house with 2 small people around. So I decided not to go there, but everything else, and not DVDs. I really don't want to deal with DVDs. But anyway, that's besides the point. So if I can, I will go into the automotive section. I will go into the clothing department. I've done clothing and shoes. I'm not a person who loves clothing and shoes myself. I have a very minimal wardrobe compared to most people. So clothing and shoes has not been a real draw for me. I do some of it, but not a huge amount. But I will go into TJ Maxx or Marshalls, and I will scan the shoes. I will scan a rack of clothing, just to get myself out there and understand what's available and what the potential is. I am in a mastermind group where we are 3 very different business models with Amazon. One is 100% wholesale. One is probably about 80% shoes and clothing with some grocery mixed in. And I am very, very heavy into grocery and toys, with a little bit of personal care, a little bit of other stuff sprinkled in. I'm not going to say no to something that can make me 200% ROI.
Sure.
Just not going to do it. But you're never going to find those things that are outside of what you always do if you don't look for them. They're not just going to appear on your, pop up in front of you. You just got to go, okay, I've got my scan fob. I'm going to go scan this entire, shelf in personal care. And you might come out completely empty-handed, completely. But you will have learned that you don't need to scan that whole section ever again. Or you might scan it a year from now because there might be new products. But once you start scanning shelves, all of a sudden, like, you learn products, you learn what works and what doesn't work. You'll start learning. I can walk into a toy section at Target and know within an instant in an aisle what the new toys are because I scan them. And then I know, and I don't have to scan any of those toys again. I go back and I look. And then every now and then, I'll say, I'll just scan this out to see if anything if no one else is selling it. Because the reality is some people hop on, the price tanks, and they decide they don't want to sell it anymore. Well, guess what? That makes an opening for me down the road when all of a sudden the price rebounded and I'm making 200% ROI again. Because nobody else wanted to go back to it.
I was just thinking, a lot of, like, our audience is private labelers, but I've always wondered, like, because you're on, like, the grounds with all the products at the stores. If you combined a retail art person with a private label person, the experiences and, like, the insights from specific products, I think you know exactly which products sell very fast in the stores, which would probably convert into a great private label item too.
Correct. So. I think one of the things that is important when doing private labels, understanding the market and understanding what's out there already and understanding what sells and what doesn't. I think my biggest, I look at private label and I laugh sometimes because I see, like, I go onto Amazon to buy something. I'm like, look at all that private label product for the same thing. And there's, like, the reality is private label is still very small in the Amazon world. And there's so many directions it can go and so many products that don't have that but have appeal. There's a lot of potential there.
Agreed.
There's no question about it.
On the subject of there's so many similar or same exact products, I've actually only purposely done it one time because it fits so well as, like, an accessory into my line. But I agree. I would never recommend to create the same exact product as another seller just because there's no real advantage to doing so.
I mean, I see people thinking that, well, I could get, if they have a 3,000 rank on their item, well, if I put an item that's exactly the same, I can get part of that awesome, conversion. But then you're just splitting conversion instead of getting all the conversion for yourself, for your own product. You are taking somebody else's and only getting part of the pie versus the whole pie.
Agreed. And when it comes down to it, it's all about trying to build long-lasting profit. If you go with the split route, there's other people that are going to be doing the split route, but if you go into the route where you're creating completely new products, someone's not going to join your listing or split that listing for at least a year. You have a massive head start, and it's going to be at least a year. And then if you go into, like, I know we're going slightly into private label, but if you go into, like, custom molds, no one's going into that, especially if you patent it the day you start doing that molds.
Yep.
So have you ever considered going into private label, by the way?
I have. And it's something that I've considered white label, I've considered private label, and I just haven't felt the need. Part of it is because I don't want to tie up that much capital. I've thought of doing some smaller runs of stuff, but I haven't found a product that I'm really that stuck on. I like doing what I'm doing. I enjoy what I do. And to be honest, I enjoy teaching others to do what I do more so than I enjoy the actual act of selling on Amazon. I like watching other people have success and move their businesses forward. And so while I'm growing my Amazon business, I am not trying to explode it. I'm trying to make it so that it continues to be consistent with growth every year, which allows me to have the lifestyle I want, allows me to do the education, the teaching, and working with other sellers, other business owners, other entrepreneurs, that allows me to help them have those aha moments, help them move forward, help them be able to have the business and the lifestyle that they want.
One of our live viewers asked, what promo channels do you use and how do you use them?
Promo channels meaning how do I market my product?
Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook.
I use Facebook and Pinterest. Pinterest mainly because it is a lot of stuff I carry is female focused, and Pinterest is like every mom on the planet is on Pinterest, I swear. So I use those heavily. I don't market a ton of my product. I do some pay-per-click on Amazon, but not a ton. I haven't felt the need to push it that far. And now that's partially because I don't do private label. Private label has a whole other thing, is you've got to get people to know about your product. We call bundling poor man's private label because it doesn't require you to buy quite as much. You can do 10 bundles and be successful with it. I usually, in order to be successful on a bundle, I usually want to make sure that it's something that there's a need for already. And if I find the right keywords, I use merchant words heavily. I know that you have a keyword tool that I think is pretty awesome.
Let's try it out. Actually, I don't mind giving it to you.
I would love to try it out
on the show.
I would love to try it out because, you know, keywords are a huge reason why things sell. You can do all the Facebook ads and all the Pinterest and all the marketing you want. If you don't have the right keywords, people are not going to find your product. It doesn't matter what it is. And so you have to be able to know that there's a market for it, number one, and two, have the right keywords so that if you're going to do marketing, people are going to find it. The reality is, if you have the right keywords and know that somebody is looking for that product that you're searching for, if they type that in, you're going to start showing up. Especially if you're going into a niche that not a lot of people on. If you're going into 500 garlic presses and you want to make yourself different, it's going to be really hard to. But if you're going into, I don't know, something else that has 10 people on it, you're going to show up on the first page. So making sure that you are in those niches, you're not trying to copy what everyone else is doing.
Just like a sneak peek, FYI, for my brand, I went into one of the most competitive markets possible, you know, and I'm still killing it. But FYI, in terms of Keyword King, I won't say how it's doing so far, but it's definitely affecting my listings in a positive way. And there's something pretty epic coming soon, within the next 2 to 3 weeks that we're adding to it. But I will give you access to it for free because you came on the show.
I'd appreciate it. I would love to try it out. I'm always interested in trying new products that are going to help move businesses forward. Now, is Keyword King something that'll be available outside of your VIP group or just inside your VIP group?
It's just for VIPs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't want everybody to have access to it. You know?
Understood. So,
yeah, free things just don't get appreciated, and you can't really expand. Like, all this profit that I'm getting from it, I'm just putting it back into the product and just making it better.
Right, and the reality is people are going to utilize something that they spend money on versus something they get for free. I don't really use
free tools, mainly because they're just not efficient, and someone doesn't continue. Well, there's open source, which is pretty cool. I won't knock that.
Open source is always great. It gives you the base for a lot of stuff. Yeah. But, I mean, there is the reality that there's a psychology to it as well. If you go and spend $500 or $2,000 or even $50 on something, you're more likely to put some time and effort into doing whatever that tool or whatever is, or taking that class, than you are to do if you got, how many Kindle books do you have in your Kindle that you haven't read because you got them for free that are just sitting there?
I think, and I'm also subscribed to at least 8 different seller tools, and they all have a specific purpose in my toolkit, but but I'm happy to pay them because they continually build their services better. It's not like they're just stopping and not working on them better. So it's a good thing I'm supporting their communities, and they just continue building it. Okay, let's pivot because I don't want to turn this into a big sponsor.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So where do you see Amazon going in terms of your business? Are you just going to try to keep sustaining it the way it is? What are you doing with fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter is always great. I've been working on fourth quarter for the past 4 months. That's the reality of it. If it's your first Q4, you can still make a killing in Q4. But if you aren't planning in advance and figuring out how to quickly flip your money, you want to have a significant amount of money to invest in fourth quarter. I started buying, for my wholesalers, I started buying additional units starting about 4 months ago, so that I could have enough when Q4 hits, because I can't go and spend $10,000, $15,000 on one product all at once. So I start building up over the course of 4 or 5 months, which allows me to have what I need to have in stock when, say, Black Friday hits and the sales really start to take off. I learned the hard way last year. I had one product that I had in stock that I couldn't get access to in the fourth quarter. The wholesaler was out. So I went from having a $2,500 day because of one product to dropping off significantly because I didn't have any more of the product in stock. And I'd been selling 10, 15 a day consistently, and I thought I had amped up enough, and all of a sudden, I don't know if somebody mentioned it somewhere on a website or something somewhere, but all of a sudden, my product was gone. It all sold within the span of 24 hours. And I was like, and that was in October.
So ridiculous.
One product.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was not a cheap product. It was a $70 product. So, but I couldn't get access to any more, and it was a bummer because it was like, oh crap. That's not the great way to start my Q4. But so I had to backpedal and figure out other things to fill that spot. The goal is I want to double Q4 every year going forward. I want to double every year.
Well, Amazon, I mentioned this yesterday. I had an interview on the show. Amazon's been doubling every year almost in terms of Q4. So it's got to be insane at their warehouses.
Well, that's why we're seeing the changes in fees that we're seeing this year. Because if you lived through Q4 last year, you know that shipping time was a pain and nothing was getting live when you expected it to go live. The year before it was 5 days and you were live. Last year it could be as much as 2 weeks. And during Q4, that really cramps your Q4 numbers. You want your product live as quickly as possible. So now they're trying to limit the amount of stock that people have in the warehouse so that their processing people can get it in and out faster.
My strategy is just to buy as much inventory as possible. What do you? Right now, I've put myself at like a really massive weak spot. All my money is going into Q4. Thankfully, I don't have kids because they might not have food tomorrow. But
so you're living on ramen right now?
I've got not even no. I don't know if everybody else is doing this, but Q4 is a scary time, but it's also, you could take a big risk and almost be okay.
That's the reality.
Not financial advice, though.
It's not, and it all depends on who you are, what your risk level is, and where you're putting your money. Because the reality is, if you put all your money into what you think is going to be the hot toy for the year and it ends up being the hot flop, you're not in a great place. But if you do your research and understand that there's a market for this product and this hits whatever niche that you're trying to do or whatever, you're more likely to succeed. And investing in that product is a good risk to take.
Agree.
But if you are not doing research and you're an Amazon seller, you might want to consider a different approach. Something else, something that doesn't require research. Because the reality is you need to know that your product's going to sell. And if that's doing RA and using an app like Inventory, like Scoutify from Inventory Lab, or if it's doing private label and doing your own research to figure things out, you need to do the research to know that whatever is going to sell, that widget is going to sell.
I'm always surprised when people buy so much inventory of like one unit and then they think it's going to be a hot seller. I think before you buy that massive amount of inventory, you need to have some sales history. Like, you as a seller should have sales history before you drop that massive cash load.
Yes.
I think that's a massive secret, almost, because it's just gambling if you don't have the actual sales history. You could look on Jungle Scout or what is the other one? Unicorn something? Something
like that I'm trying to blank on right now. But no, it's about going wide. Yes, there it is. It's about going wide versus going deep, especially if you don't have a seller history. I have a couple of products now that I carry. I started carrying one product in this category 2 years ago, and it, over the course of 3 months, started doing really, really well. So I started looking for similar categories in by different brands and started bringing those on. But I knew based on that first product and the sales velocity of that first product that I didn't have to start off with the measly 5 that I normally do when I do RA to test a product. I could buy 50 of it because I knew it would sell.
Amy, you're telling all the secrets.
I could talk for hours about that.
Just an FYI, that's actually a massive secret where you pivot from one category based on the amount you're selling for a specific product.
But do you realize how many people don't realize that?
It's
that
massive.
They don't understand that is huge, because I see so many people, so many of my clients, I can't find any more inventory. I can't find any more inventory. Have you looked, what are you selling now?
I can't find enough money, honestly.
Really? Seriously. Like, I have so many clients come to me, go, I can't find any more inventory. I'm like, okay, we got to work on this, because you've got to be, like, there's something you're not doing something right in your processing to not see products. I see dollar bills everywhere. But I will say that when I started with RA 4 whatever years ago, I didn't see those dollar bills everywhere. So we have to remember that just because we see that the people just starting out, it doesn't come as quickly. It takes time, and you have to build up your knowledge base. I came into it with a knowledge base of toys, so I could see that more easily. Grocery took longer for me to figure that stuff out.
There's like, there's a blend of artistic, you know, your parents are artists, so you have to have creativity. There's also ingenuity, and then you have to be able to take that risk, because there's always going to be risk, you know?
Always. If you're a business owner, you're always going to have risk.
I'm curious, because I just recently got into the health section, but my main focus has been in the category that I've been selling in. But you've mentioned everything that you've sold in the past is what you base your future decisions on. Mm-hmm. So I think with getting into the health section, it's going to open a lot of new creativity things. What are your strategies for developing new products? Do you I guess, how are you launching what's your decision-making process when you pick a product, launch it? Is it just the scan and label, or are you trying to,
no, I bring products to market. And part of my decision, I will look at a product, and part of it goes off of brand and brand knowledge. I won't sell an off-brand product unless there is something that is a brand product that's selling really well. So, for example, I have a picture frame that I carry that's an off-brand. I see other frames very similar to this that sell really well. I'm going to snag that cheaper frame and put it up there and sell it for a little bit lower than that higher priced item and make sales. It's paying attention to brand. The reality is it's all about what's in your knowledge bank and what you're comfortable with and what you know. That knowledge in your head is what allows you to make the best buying decisions. You're not going to walk in and pick up some random object and go, oh, I think that'll sell. What do you have to say that do you have a magic 8-ball that you can flip over and say, hey, is that product going to sell? It's going to tell you yes or no. We don't have that. So we have to use the knowledge we have in our head. I brought a lot of knowledge with me from my eBay days, and what sold on eBay also sells well on Amazon as new. If it's used and sells well, it sells well as new. And so taking that knowledge and going, I've just brought a product to market about 6 months ago now. I got it at the Philly Gift Show in January. So yeah, I brought it to market about 6 months ago because it was based on a product that sells really well. It's a high-end item. This was a accessory for that item. And I saw it at the show and I said, that will sell. Because I knew that the high-end product itself sells. So I knew based on that knowledge that I could sell that item. Now, I would have to create the listing, do all the photography, et cetera, but it was worth that effort because I knew it would sell. And part of that's just going on your gut. I go on my gut a lot more than some people would. Some people want to have data crunch. I'm not a data cruncher. I don't sit down and run all the numbers. I don't have 8,000 spreadsheets like I know some people do. That's not enjoyable for me. Being creative and using my gut are basically my strategy, I guess is how you put it.
I wonder what part of our conscious, or what is our gut? Like, just the other day, I mean, I've been on like a sourcing journey. So just the other day, I've picked 4 other products that I'm sourcing from 3 different manufacturers. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do a lot of research necessarily. I did it, a few little crunch types, but it was probably an hour a product. And I just pulled the trigger because I knew, the way I would launch it would work. But I guess no one ever goes into the description of what is a gut, your gut trigger. I'm actually not even sure where I'm going with this.
It's one of those interesting psychology things.
What is it? Yeah.
What is your gut? Because your gut is an important part of a decision making. It doesn't matter what in life, if something feels if something feels off to you, which is your gut telling you something, you're not going to do it. But if your gut is saying something feels right here, you're more likely to do it.
I was actually talking to a seller the other day, just on Skype, and he was coming up with like different types of brand names that he was working on. And I suggested one, but then he was stuck on this other one. And I'm like, dude, just go with your gut, because you're the one who's going to be passionate about your brand, and you're going to be the one building the brand. And
yep.
So the two connect directly, passion and brand. So
for sure.
We have about 5 minutes left. Is there any last notes you want to say? Anything we missed?
Man, I could talk about Amazon for hours. I love sharing what we know. We do have, I know that a lot of you are private labelers. I know a lot of you aren't in the mom world, but we do have, a lot of great influential industry leaders in our Facebook group who love to share. We are a secret Facebook group, so you can't search us. And we do that on purpose because we allow people to ask questions that feel comfortable in their surroundings, and we don't get Ray-Ban spam and drama. So that is, it's a great place to hang out, ask questions, and when you get stuck on something, we've had accountability groups and masterminds form out of our group. We are smaller than a lot of the groups out there because we are secret. We are an invite only. And so I am inviting you guys to come and join us if you're interested. It's mommyincome.com/join us. The way we qualify it is we give you a code word. So if you come in with the code word AZSecrets and you're interested, feel free to join us.
Cool. Do you have... Oh, I guess you don't have a link because it's like a...
I don't have a link to it. That's the mommyincome.com/join us is how you will connect with us, and we will send you the link to get in.
Just another note before we close out. One of our live interviewers, live guests, mentioned the book Embraining, which talks about your gut. It's by, I think I wrote Grant Saluza. Could be wrong. But it talks about your gut, head, the decisions you make. So I guess that's another thing we should check out.
Interesting. I think I should check that one out. Sounds like a good book to read.
It does. Also, is there a way for people to directly contact you?
Yeah, best way to get in touch with me is on Facebook. If you look up Amy Feierman, that will take you to my thing, and you can send me a private message there. It's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today. It's definitely been a very solid interview.
This has been a lot of fun. I enjoy sharing. I look forward to trying out Keyword King and talking with you more in the future.
Yep. All right. David Aladdin, Amy Feierman, out. Today's sponsor is AMZ Secrets Keyword King. What if you could sell 10 more units per day on Amazon, or 100 more units per day? The key to selling more on Amazon is driving more traffic to your Amazon listing that's related to your listing. Reviews help, yes. Quality photos help, yes. However, increasing relevant traffic is king. The only way to sell 100 more units per day is having at least 100 more people visit your listing per day. Keyword King leverages smart algorithms to assist you in building the best keyword lists for all your products. Not only will you hit 5,000 characters total and 1,000 characters per line in the back end for your Amazon listing, you will do so knowingly with the best combination of words. Right now, you might have 3,000 characters filled up, and that's pretty darn good. But you really don't know for sure, and you should actually be at 5,000 characters. It's tiring, time-consuming, and cramped in Amazon's back end. Keyword King performs many tasks on the fly, live, while you are building your list, and ensures your list is as powerful as can be. It intelligently eliminates spaces, duplicate keywords, and other negative things that would hurt your sales. You can save an infinite amount of keyword lists, return to them later, and compare which lists are performing best for your products. Best of all, it allows for a one-click translation of your first and second rows to your fourth and fifth rows in Spanish. Over 55 million potential U.S. shoppers are Hispanic in the U.S., and they type directly into Amazon in Spanish. These keywords are often untargeted and easy sales to add to your bottom line. It does this all while applying smart keyword cleaning algorithm. In the end, organic traffic to your listing is free. Getting free, high-quality traffic is the way to build sustainable, long-term Amazon businesses. Keyword King will destroy your competition using amzsecrets.com. Guys, I hope you guys loved the podcast as I did. Be sure to join our Facebook Mastermind secret group at amzsecrets.com/FB. It would help tremendously. Also, if you could leave a quick review on iTunes. Every question has an answer for Amazon, and finding the right one is critical to your success. amzsecrets.com does this, and it does it all for free. So why not? See you guys all there. This podcast has been directed by David Aladdin, a global king in logistics, strategy, and secrets. David Aladdin, out.